people, especially I'm talking to African Americans right now, as I pass through Pasadena. Just want to let you know that, I was at a conference at Fuller Seminary about a month ago, and the theme was whiteness. And they invited a whole bunch of special speakers, especially mostly African American speakers, professors, who were there to challenge the seminary and people in general about their so-called white privilege. And then there were some white professors and other white speakers who mostly spoke also in sympathy for that subject. So nobody was there to say, hey, this is not right. Nobody like Larry Elder, who is a black radio talk show host, who he's black, African American, and he normally takes the statistical side, which shows that a lot of the things that blacks complain about are statistically, based on data and facts, not true. So, and there's another thing that really bothers me, is that it's so-called white guilt. The white speakers at this conference, at the Missiology lectures at Fuller Seminary, an annual event, the white speakers, almost all of them said, I'm not saying this because of white guilt, so-called white guilt. Even the president said that. Well, the problem is that I think they actually are, but they're being savvy, slick, and saying they're not, speaking from white guilt. And the other thing is that for some of us, and most of them, I think, lean liberal. Fuller seems to be more liberal. I actually attended Fuller as a student, and I always thought they were conservative, but they're actually more liberal than you think. So I think they're just speaking as basically white liberals and white guilt. And then I tried to send some messages, questions. They had a question period, and I sent texts trying to defend whiteness, and added that for some of us, our ancestors died fighting for the North, for the cause of the blacks in the Civil War, and including me. My ancestor did die doing that. Two of them in their 20s. One died of pneumonia contracted while fighting in the Civil War. The other one, I'm not sure why, but it was Civil War related. So I don't feel not only do I not feel any guilt, I feel like I'm part of the side that has helped the black man and woman in the cause of the blacks. Yes, I'm white, and I help blacks. Not only, personally I do things for the black cause. I'm one of the few. I actually went to Christian schools that were mostly white, but started out before that in public school, when the public schools were just starting to really, get into the groove in regard to being integrated. So from kindergarten to 4th grade, I was in integrated classrooms at Alger Elementary in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I talked to my mom and dad. They never had any black classmates, so I think that's pretty typical. Well, they went to Christian schools, but even I would say, I don't know up until what year it was, that they were still pretty segregated, even though integration took place, I think, starting in the 50s, right? but they didn't really get going full-fledged until later on, I think. So I experienced that. And then when I transferred to the Christian schools, it was mostly white in 5th grade and onward. But once again, I mean, to me, blacks were just fellow people. They weren't like superior or inferior or special or not special. I didn't treat them better or worse than anybody else. They were just fellow citizens, fellow humans. And I think that's the way it should be, instead of all this special exceptions and all this and that. And especially if it's contrary to statistics. So I encourage my fellow citizens who are African American to listen to Larry Elder sometime. He's on 870 AM The Answer. You can probably hear it online anywhere in the world, really, for that matter. And he's pretty good about the statistics and calls a spade when blacks complain about unfair treatment. So keep that in mind. And for my fellow white liberals, I think some of you may, in some cases, some of you come from ancestry dating back to white slave, to being a slave master, a white slave master back in the slave days, and so maybe your white guilt is required. It's understandable in that regard. If you came from the South, your ancestors came from the South, and actual were slave masters or slave traders, things like that, I understand. Then you would have white guilt, perpetual. So maybe some of that is related to that. Otherwise, I don't see why you have white guilt. Even if you deny you don't have it. Let's try to be just fair and equal to everybody. I went to a movie last night, a place in Beverly Hills on Wilshire, and went up to a window. It was a large African American lady. She gave me this blank stare, like, "Who are you?" I said, I told her what movie I wanted to go to, and she goes, $13. Shouldn't say, "Oh, okay, thank you," or "Please." Yeah, 13, please. And then usually after you pay, they say, "Thank you, enjoy your movie." She didn't do any of that. So actually, sometimes we even get reverse discrimination here in Southern California, where blacks have so much popularity power, I should say, that they are able to mistreat whites, and we have no recourse. And that's because of white liberals who allow it to happen and are perpetually apologetic. And so they can come in, the savvy ones come in and basically do whatever they want. I've seen it in a few churches as well. Catholic churches where Catholics, anybody's welcome in the Catholic Church, but usually you don't see that many blacks in Catholic churches. I don't know why, except in certain specifically black Catholic areas. But some of them are coming in from like New York or wherever, and they're just popping up in the Catholic churches around Beverly Hills and other places. And basically taking control. The priest doesn't know what to do, because the priest these are all liberal areas in the West Los Angeles area, and they play on that sentiment, and basically I had to leave going to those churches after a while, because one, especially militant. I even wondered if he was actually Catholic or even Christian. I was thinking maybe Muslim Brotherhood, because he was so militant. And I don't know, it would be one way of them to kind of creep in. This is totally aside from the African Americans. This is about something totally sociological, other. It's about danger of a creeping, as they say, creeping Sharia. I don't know if they are. I hope not, but I'm just throwing that out there because I'm talking to liberals who are always apologetic to blacks, so that blacks can do whatever they want if they're savvy and they decide they want to play that card. So keep that in mind. God be with you all and bless you. Merry Christmas.